Psalm 76 of the Treasury of David. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Marianne. The Treasury of David, Volume 3, by Charles Spurgeon, Psalm 76. Title: To the Chief Musician on Neginoth. The precentor is here instructed to perform this song to the music of stringed instruments. The master of the harpers was called upon for his most skillful minstrelsy, and truly the song is worthy of the sweetest sounds that strings can yield. A psalm or song of Asaph. The style and matter indicate the same hand as that which wrote the preceding, and it is an admirable arrangement which placed the two in juxtaposition. Faith in the 75th Psalm, sung of victories to come, and here it sings of triumphs achieved. The present psalm is a most jubilant war song, a paean to the King of Kings, the hymn of a theocratic nation to its divine ruler. We have no need to mark divisions in a song where the unity is so well preserved. Exposition. Verses 1 to 12. In Judah is God known, his name is great in Israel. In Salem also is his tabernacle, and his dwelling place in Zion. There brake he the arrows of the bow, the shield, and the sword, and the battle. Selah. Thou art more glorious and excellent than the mountains of prey. The stout-hearted are spoiled, they have slept their sleep, and none of the men of might have found their hands. At thy rebuke, O God of Jacob, both the chariot and horse are cast into a dead sleep. Thou, even thou, art to be feared, and who may stand in thy sight when once thou art angry? Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. The earth feared and was still. When God arose to judgment, to save all the meek of the earth. Selah. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. Vow and pay unto the Lord your God. Let all that be round about him bring presents unto him that ought to be feared. He shall cut off the spirit of princes. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. Verse 1. In Judah is God known. If unknown in all the world beside, he has so revealed himself to his people by his deeds of grace, that he is no unknown God to them. His name is great in Israel. To be known, in the Lord's case, is to be honored. Those who know his name admire the greatness of it. Although Judah and Israel were unhappily divided politically, yet the godly of both nations were agreed concerning Jehovah their God. And truly whatever schisms may mar the visible church, the saints always appear as one in magnifying the Lord their God. Dark is the outer world, but within the favored circle Jehovah is revealed, and is the adoration of all who behold him. The world knows him not, and therefore blasphemes him, but his church is full of ardor to proclaim his fame unto the ends of the earth. Verse 2. In Salem also is his tabernacle. In the peaceful city he dwells, and the peace is perpetuated because there his sacred tent is pitched. The church of God is the place where the Lord abides, and he is to her the Lord and giver of peace. And his dwelling place in Zion. Upon the chosen hill was the palace of Israel's Lord. It is the glory of the church that the Redeemer inhabits her by his Holy Spirit. Vain are the assaults of the enemy, for they attack not us alone, but the Lord himself. Emmanuel, God with us, finds a home among his people. Who then shall work us ill? Verse 3. There brake he the arrows of the bow. Without leaving his tranquil abode, he sent forth his word and snapped the arrows of his enemies before they could shoot them. The idea is sublime, and marks the ease, completeness, and rapidity of the divine action. The shield, and the sword, and the battle. Every weapon, offensive and defensive, the Lord dashed in pieces. Death-bearing bolts and life-preserving armor were alike of no avail when the breaker sent forth his word of power. In the spiritual conflicts of this and every age, the like will be seen. No weapon that is formed against the church shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against her in judgment she shall condemn. Selah. It is meet that we should dwell on so soul-stirring a theme, and give the Lord our grateful adoration. Hence a pause is inserted. Verse 4. Thou art more glorious and excellent than the mountains of prey. Far more is Jehovah to be extolled than all the invading powers which sought to oppress his people, though they were for power and greatness comparable to mountains. Assyria had pillaged the nations till it had become rich with mountains of spoil. This was talked of among men as glory, but the psalmist despises such renown, and declares that the Lord is far more illustrious. What are the honours of war but brags of murder? What the fame of conquerors but the reek of manslaughter? But the Lord is glorious in holiness, and his terrible deeds are done in justice for the defence of the weak, and the deliverance of the enslaved. Mere power may be glorious, but it is not excellent. When we behold the mighty acts of the Lord, we see a perfect blending of the two qualities. Verse 5. The stout-hearted are spoiled. They come to spoil, and lo, they are spoiled themselves. Their stout hearts are cold in death. The angel of the pestilence has dried up their life-blood. Their very heart is taken from them. They have slept their sleep, their last sleep, the sleep of death. And none of the men of might have found their hands. Their arms are palsied, they cannot lift a finger, for the rigor of death has stiffened them. What a scene was that, when Sennacherib's host was utterly destroyed in one night. The hands which were furious to pull down Jerusalem could not even be raised from the sod. The most valiant warriors were as weak as the palsied cripples at the temple gate. Yea, their eyes they could not open. A deep sleep steeled their vision in everlasting darkness. O God, how terrible art thou! Thus shalt thou fight for us, and in the hour of peril overthrow the enemies of thy gospel. Therefore in thee will we trust and not be afraid. Verse 6. At thy rebuke. A word accomplished all, there was no need of a single blow. O God of Jacob. God of thy wrestling people, who again like their fathers supplant their enemy. God of the covenant and the promise, thou hast in this gracious character fought for thine elect nation. Both the chariot and the horse are cast into a dead sleep. They will neither neigh nor rattle again. Still are the trampings of the horses and the crash of the cars. The cavalry no more creates its din. The Israelites always had a special fear of horses and scythed chariots, and therefore the sudden stillness of the entire force of the enemy in this department is made the theme of special rejoicing. The horses were stretched on the ground, and the chariots stood still, as if the whole camp had fallen asleep. Thus can the Lord send a judicial sleep over the enemies of the church, a premonition of the second death, and this he can do when they are in the zenith of power, and, as they imagine, in the very act of blotting out the remembrance of his people. The world's Rabshakehs can write in terrible letters, but the Lord answers not with pen and ink, but with rebukes which bear death in every syllable. Verse 7. Thou, even thou, art to be feared. Not Sennacherib, nor Nisroch his god, but Jehovah alone, who with a silent rebuke had withered all the monarch's host. Fear him, ye saints, and then ye shall have nothing else to fear. The fear of man is a snare, but the fear of God is a great virtue, and has great power for good over the human mind. God is to be feared profoundly, continually, and alone. Let all worship be to him only. And who may stand in thy sight when once thou art angry? Who indeed? The angels fell when their rebellion provoked his justice. Adam lost his place in paradise in the same manner. Pharaoh and other proud monarchs passed away at his frown. Neither is there in earth or hell anyone who could abide the terror of his wrath. How blessed are they who are sheltered in the atonement of Jesus, and hence have no cause to fear the righteous anger of the judge of all the earth. Verse 8. Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. So complete an overthrow was evidently a judgment from heaven. Those who saw it not, yet heard the report of it, and said, This is the finger of God. Man will not hear God's voice if he can help it, but God takes care to cause it to be heard. The echoes of that judgment executed on the haughty Assyrian are heard still, and will ring on, adown all the ages, to the praises of divine justice. The earth feared and was still. All nations trembled at the tidings, and sat in humbled awe. Repose followed the former turmoils of war, when the oppressor's power was broken, and God was reverenced for having given quiet to the peoples. How readily can Jehovah command an audience! It may be that in the latter days he will, by some such miracles of power in the realms of grace, constrain all earth's inhabitants to attend to the gospel, and submit to the reign of his all-glorious Son. So be it, good Lord. Verse 9. When God arose to judgment. Men were hushed when he ascended the judgment seat and actively carried out the decrees of justice. When God is still, the people are in tumult. When he arises, they are still as a stone. To save all the meek of the earth. The ruler of men has a special eye towards the poor and despised. He makes it his first point to right all their wrongs. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. They have little enough of it now, but their avenger is strong, and he will surely save them. He who saves his people is the same God who overthrew their enemies. He is as omnipotent to save as to destroy. Glory be unto his name. Selah. Here pause, and let devout contemplations adore the God of Jacob. Verse 10. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. It shall not only be overcome, but rendered subservient to thy glory. Man with his breath of threatening is but blowing the trumpet of the Lord's eternal fame. Furious winds often drive vessels the more swiftly into port. The devil blows the fire and melts the iron, and then the Lord fashions it for his own purposes. Let men and devils rage as they may, they cannot do otherwise than subserve the divine purposes. The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain. Malice is tethered and cannot break its bounds. The fire which cannot be utilized shall be damped. Some read it, thou shalt gird, as if the Lord girded on the wrath of man as a sword to be used for his own designs, and certainly men of the world are often a sword in the hand of God, to scourge others. This verse clearly teaches that even the most rampant evil is under the control of the Lord, and will in the end be overruled for his praise. Verse 11. Vow and pay unto the Lord your God. Well may we do so in memory of such mercies and judgments. To vow or not is a matter of choice, but to discharge our vows is our bounden duty. He who would defraud God, his own God, is a wretch indeed. He keeps his promises, let not his people fail in theirs. He is their faithful God and deserves to have a faithful people. Let all that be round about him bring presents unto him that ought to be feared. Let surrounding nations submit to the only living God. Let his own people with alacrity present their offerings, and let his priests and Levites be leaders in the sacred sacrifice. He who deserves to be praised as our God does should not have mere verbal homage, but substantial tribute. Dread sovereign, behold, I give myself to thee. Verse 12. He shall cut off the spirit of princes. Their courage, skill, and life are in his hands, and he can remove them as a gardener cuts off a slip from a plant. None are great in his hand. Caesars and Napoleons fall under his power as the boughs of the tree beneath the woodman's axe. He is terrible to the kings of the earth. While they are terrible to others, he is terrible to them. If they oppose themselves to his people, he will make short work of them. They shall perish before the terror of his arm, for the Lord is a man of war, the Lord is his name. Rejoice before him, all ye who adore the God of Jacob. End of Psalm 76.